I need to get your take on a few days ago,
yes.
the NLC president, Mr. Joe Ajaero, was arrested at the airport on his way to the UK to attend a program by the DSS. And also the office of SERAP was invaded by the DSS. So and looking at what Ajaero was arrested for, something that had to do with sponsorship of terrorism, sponsoring terrorists, and all that. What's your take on this? What do you think the government is up to by accusing a man that was there, that fought? Is their interest of the Labour Congress is for the Nigerian workers, you know? So what's the relationship between him fighting for a living wage for the Nigerian workers? What's his relationship with that, with terrorism and sponsorship of terrorism?
I believe there are better ways to handle it.
And the way and manner to which he was embarrassed at the airport and arrested.
You shouldn't carry out any function just to intimidate people. I consider it as a behavioral violation.
Hello there, everyone. You're welcome to the conversation. My name is Elizabeth Samsedi. How are you guys doing? I hope the fuel situation has died down a little bit all over the country, because I know that everyone has been having it really very tough. The conversation is a program we bring to you live from Kaftan TV, Kaftan Television, here in the FCT, here in Abuja. It's a program we delve into conversations that has been on your front burner in the course of the week, both nationally and internationally. We bring them back here, a guest on the show. We discuss, we trash them and how they have been affecting us as individuals in our society, and we try to find a possible lasting solution to these challenges that we have. Today on the show, we shall be looking at a word that is very common now in the country, called the palliatives. Honestly, it's amazing how the word palliative has become very, very common, a very common word around the country, because people are in pain, people are hungry, people are suffering, there's food insecurity, people can hardly meet their daily bread, parents can hardly feed their children. All right, so it's so bad that the governments have decided to find a way to bring succor to the people by bringing palliatives to them, bringing foodstuffs and other means of livelihood for them to survive. But the question is, for how long are these palliatives going to continue, and how many people are actually getting them? We hear all the time palliatives being sent to states, the social states, that states, this states, this degree of people, this level of people, and yet again, a lot of people complain that they are yet to have received these palliatives. So it's the questions keep coming on and on and on. Who is getting these palliatives? Who has received these palliatives? All right. So this is are the areas that we're going to dive into today, and the main question is, how did we get here? I have a guest with me at the studio that we're going to have to dissect all of these issues together today. His name is Dr. James Komolafe. Yes, Dr. James Komolafe is a forensic behavior therapist from Saba Resources here in the FCT. You are welcome, Dr. James.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yes.
Good to be on this platform
today.
We are
glad to have you
for this very pivotal conversation session.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So yes, we are talking palliatives, the cons and the pros. So when you hear that word palliatives, as far like I said, it's all over the country. That's what we hear every now and then. Every state is expecting the government, the federal government, for them to receive their own share of the federal palliatives that is being shared. What comes to your mind when you hear that word palliative?
Well, palliatives, unfortunately and invariably, has come to be a normal day-to-day word in our nation today just because of bad economy, a system of governance that has not really cascaded to looking at who we are, what we have, for what we can do or become. Anything palliatives means, number one, it is not permanent. 2, it means it's a quick fix. 3, it means it is just cosmetic, surface. And more importantly, Elizabeth, palliatives lacks the capacity for the bigger picture reality.
Okay.
We live in a society where we need to understand our socio-ethnic diversity, cultural diversity, and to understand our basic fulcrum, so that invariably will impact on what policy we roll out for the citizens. And I like to say palliatives are good in the very short run to meet the immediate need, the emergencies.
Yes.
But when it is becoming a repetitive tendency and a behavior, it takes people off course.
Yes, so
the tail begins to wag the tongue,
right.
the dog.
Most of the palliatives, which is foodstuff that is even being shared, rice. And we learned that most of even these rice are not farmed in Nigeria. Most of them are even imported into the country. This is Nigeria. This is the same Nigeria where we were so strong in the areas of agriculture. We were, when it comes to palms, and it is on record that in Malaysia, it was Nigeria that gave them the palms that they have, that, you know, right now, as at today. And this is the same Nigeria that we talked about cocoa. We were very good in exportation when
in the 70s,
exactly,
in the 60s.
Yes, and we have vast landscape, land to farm, and blessed in agriculture. How do we get to the level of the fact that Nigerians are hungry? Nigerians, as big as the landscape we have, Nigerians cannot farm what they eat. How did we get to this level?
The palliatives of today, Elizabeth, are evident because of the permanent solutions we refuse to see and embrace in the past. Most of the palliatives. And you see, no matter how you dole out palliatives, whether homegrown or imported, it won't last forever. And then to be importing rice or some other food staple at zero tax waiver and all of that, and distributing across the geopolitical zones and every state will not do the work. In fact, I call it double tragedy, dual sabotage. The foreign earnings that are supposed to come in by growing the local production, we will miss it. And then the foreign currencies we have, our domestic reserve, if we ever have one that is buoyant enough, is going to suffer depletion just to create a temporary solution to the issue on ground.
Okay, so
there's nothing bad about providing a temporary a solution, but we're saying, can we look at the nation holistically to see where to devolve energies, competencies, and capacities to go into production? We need to go back to the farm.
Yeah, talking about going back to the farm.
Yes.
Talking about going back to the farm, one of the reasons of the food insecurity we're experiencing in the country is as a result of these farmer headers clashes and, of course, this banditry and insecurity in the land. Let us delve a little bit into that, the food insecurity, hunger, poverty.
Food security is critical, and food insecurity there is a nexus between the general societal insecurity and food security, because farmers will have to go to farm to do farming. Although in some mechanized area and some other special class of farming, you could do within your courtyard if you have a large expanse of land around your compound. But I wonder whether that could feed the nation.
After all, the first lady, the president's wife, Mrs. is encouraging everyone, because she has a garden behind her house,
family,
and she's encouraging everyone to have a garden at home.
That will not still solve the problem.
Absolutely, we need beyond that. Yeah,
we need to be able to help appreciate who our citizens are. Any man who has not found self-actualization, no matter what you give him for salary, for palliatives and all of that, they are actually palliatives. Until a man finds self-expression,
they are not permanent, yeah, just temporary,
and lives his own life the way he wants it, and catch his own fun and generate fund through his own fun. We are nowhere yet. So, very pivotal. Nigeria is a monocultural economy till today. It's not about talking into ICT and all of that. Well, thank God some of our youths are coming up when it comes to ICT, digital space and all of that. And we are actually trailing the line. There should be more emphasis on what matters locally, nationally, geopolitically, and internationally.
Can we quickly take a look?
We should not be behind.
Let's look at what's the relationship between hunger and poverty.
Direct. A hungry man is an angry man.
So it's said.
So when you mix hunger to anger, poverty is at the background. And the first poverty is not absence of money, but it is the presence of ignorance that hinders people from finding out who they are and unleashing their potentials into productive ventures from where they will do value creation and earn their own money. Even if you are a government worker, there are potentials and talents and graces within you for which you can package yourself to come out in your better version, to create values, solve problems, find out what is happening. But where they are completely bereft of such opportunities, and you are just a one-way traffic, go to work, carry the file, treat files, play a little and come back home, and it's a vicious circle, and there's no initiative, no innovative thinking, no platform to do it the way it sorts you out, no way to be creative and all of that. Okay, so what do we have? We have the same thing. Yeah. The same way. Looking for different results.
Yeah, a couple of months back, about 2 months ago, a new minimum wage was agreed upon. And up to as we speak, it's yet to be implemented. People are yet to begin to start to receive the new minimum wage. What's your take on that aspect? To considering the fact that the fuel increment, a lot of increments have occurred ever since the electricity bills keep coming, the increase of power, fuel, foodstuff, commodities and all that, and yet even the 70,000 that everybody was clamoring that is not enough, is yet to be to commence payment. What's your take on this?
Lizzie, can I surprise you? Even if you make minimum wage ₦1 million, you know what? The issue is not the nominal income, but the real GDP. What can that money buy? That's the first thing. And then two, what you are going to buy, is it available? If it is available, where is it being produced from? In as much as we will not encourage the local industry to thrive and rise, how do we get the minimum wage paid? How do we generate it? Do we have domestic products that we export to be able to earn foreign currencies? What's our reserve? Is it from borrowing? And you see, when we keep borrowing and borrowing for consumption, you know what? We are only postponing the evil days.
Absolutely.
And accumulating debts,
Right,
for our unborn children to come and inherit. And that is behavioral violation, because a good father will leave inheritance for his children, not debt. So there is nothing bad on the surface. It's still a palliative we're talking about, even the new minimum wage. When we're doing that, we should also look at short-term, intermediate, and long-term projects that we can engage in.
yeah, definitely.
Not just
Those are
create
lasting
a
solutions.
big lacuna,
Yeah.
and you just strike at citizens. And Lizzie, you should know that any policy initiative now that will roll out, the first impact on a negative note is the common citizens. Who doesn't know what economic analysis is, apart from going to the market to buy that mudu of gari, beans, sugar, and to find out that what I bought for 10 naira is now 20 naira.
Yeah,
And he doesn't know why. He can't explain.
that's absolutely, yeah.
And they say it's government too. So government is actually supposed to just create an enabling environment for the society to thrive. The poor, the middleman, the rich, everybody must be able to find their various levels,
yes,
and become their best version.
Absolutely. Okay, so even when you take a look at all of this, let's even say there are as much as bags of rice, bags of beans, and all that, which I don't think is in all cases that they share up to, up to a full bag. I hear about 10 kgs and 15, 20 kgs and all that. But even if it's a full bag, let's say a family of 4.
How long does it last?
How long? That's my question.
Lizzie, if I give you 10 bags now only,
how long? It's going to finish.
If your diet is about rice,
right?
Are you just a rice person? So what we call palliatives are not actually palliatives.
And even when the rice is given, you need condiments to be able to make it prepared.
For which you have to still buy them.
Exactly. So I used to be of the opinion that for as far as civil servants are concerned, why can't they allow civil servants, since most especially during the period when that the argument why labor, the organized labor and government were going back and forth on coming to an understanding about the living wage for the Nigerian worker. I was of the opinion that why can't it just be they allow the worker to work like hourly? Okay, they go to the office, they work, do what they ought to do. If it takes them 4 hours, 5, 6 hours, then they allow them go take out something else to do, like up to like they do overseas. Let them be able to like run.
You are talking of overseas. There is an enabling environment overseas. Some of those technology and ideas and innovation we import. The question we need to ask ourselves is this: have we created a framework that can power such initiatives?
Yeah. Are the jobs available?
Are the jobs available?
Yeah.
Those are all the things we should look at. And then there are some offices who will say, okay, come 3 times a week. That's good, but it still does not solve it.
Yeah, so when they come 3 times a week, the other 2 days of the week, what do they do?
What do they do? They are stranded.
Except for those that have skill.
And once they are at home, without ski, without anything to fall back, they eat more.
True.
Just like when your children are on strike, you see, you spend more than when they are in school, because that's the time they will consume all your energy, they consume power, they consume food, they sleep more, the utilities are engaged more. So we need to go back to the basis, to our geopolitical zones. what is obtained in the South? How do we encourage it? How about Northeast? How about Northwest? How about Southwest? And every other place. Middle belt.
But
And
having
begin
that
to
done,
devolve resources towards encouraging the people.
yeah, getting that done,
That's basis. And then
the constitution has to be
technology.
talked about that.
Are they not human beings? And that's why there's agitation for a national confab, for which we've had over and over.
And was not used.
And they are not often adhered to or used, and all kinds of conferences and all that.
And a lot of people are even against we looking at the constitution to see a way where it can be amended or rewritten so that all of these challenges, because most of the challenges that Nigeria has, according to a lot of people, is from the constitution. So
our framework there is
a call that the constitution should be revisited, so that all of these things can be handled.
If that will give us what we're looking for.
But a lot are against it. Why do you think a lot of people are against the constitution being touched, republished and polished?
You see, it's one thing to amend or reconstitute whatever. It's another thing for policy objectives that actually dovetails into solving immediate, intermediate, and long-term projects to be rolled out by the people in leadership. So the critical leadership need to understand who we are as Nigerians, what brings out our energies and our tilt, and then devolve energies, devolve resources. Oh, there's nothing wrong in borrowing, but what do we borrow to fix? What do we borrow to do? And what kind of borrowing are we engaging in? And then when we announce project, it's one. It's another thing to divest the resources to the same projects. What are the monitoring mechanisms? What is the M&E of such projects? And then these are the days you have all kinds of incomplete projects, abandoned projects. A government comes in, it slaughters the predecessors programs and projects. No continuity.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
All of those things are going back our economy.
If going back to amending the constitution will bring a lasting solution to most of these challenges that we face,
then we'll do it.
Why? That's what I'm saying. The question is, there are a lot of Nigerians that are against that. Why do you think that? Why would people, if we have discovered that the areas where we are having challenges, where we have issues, and now people are beginning to see that losing out of what? So meaning that there are people that are benefiting from what's going on right now?
Elizabeth, that has been the bane of economic development in Nigeria. Now, we have crude oil, which happens to be our monocultural product. Why are we not refining? Why are all our refineries run aground? What about all the maintenance culture? Why are we selling crude to foreigners?
But even Dangote refinery that has commenced is having challenges.
You can see the imbroglio and all that the man is going through there, because there are specific figures who don't want it to work.
Why?
Personal aggrandizement. I will forfeit my benefit. And
at the expense of thousands of Nigerians?
We need a governance that will be ready to step on toes. And you see, people behind this are not the poor people in the society who don't know their left from their right. They are the bourgeois. They are the sacred cows who have been milking this country dry. And you know what, Elizabeth? We have all that can go round. But the willpower, the government decision to say, hey, it's time to do a little revolution. Not revolution in terms of protest or carrying arms. All those things won't work. But to shift emphasis and to mitigate the gap between the poor and the rich.
Haven't mentioned the protest.
Not that the poor will become poorer and the rich will become richer.
Right. Haven't mentioned
Create
the
a baseline that helps everybody be in a society.
Having made mention of the protest, what do you think the post-protest? What did you think it made the government were able to make anything good, or they were able to feel the people like how they really felt about the? Do you think the protest was able to pass the message it was meant to pass to the government?
I believe in the temporary. The message was hard. The government is awoken to the fact that the citizens are aware. But it should go beyond that. We should create forum, and I'm happy for the federal government creating a youth forum. But the question I'm asking is, are we going to allow this youth forum to create massive solutions, initiatives, and contributions to supporting the effort of government to run appreciably
What does the youth forum do?
And well?
What does it do?
Great. I would suggest that if you look at Nigerian demography, the youth demography is the highest, forms the highest quorum. So what do? Let them use those fora as an opportunity for positive engagement with government.
That's the youth.
The youth. Don't just set up leadership because you want to just make them talk, or let them do their talk there. Let there be a cascade. In fact, there's a 3-phase cascade we are building for the youth forum, for a proposal to say, hey, let's create an institutional framework that makes communication seamless, simple, easy, so that there will be no need for protest.
Okay.
Everything will go through the cascade as it goes in, so it comes out, and then make it a cascade that aids development across the borderlines.
We are due for a break, so just we'll continue from that line of thoughts. That yeah, stay tuned, viewers. We are taking a short break now. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. Thanks for being there and for staying with us. Still with me on the studio is Dr. James Komolafe. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yes,
good to be here
we're on the line of thoughts of the youth.
Yeah.
So I would like you to just continue from where we stopped.
The youth has the solution to whatever we are in right now. So they must be given their place.
You think the youth will do better?
What do I mean by the youth giving their place? It's not necessarily calling them to say, you are SSA, you are this and you are that. No. Create an enabling environment that helps them to do self-actualization. I need to be able to devolve myself. Let there be light. Although God said that.
And there is light.
And there was light.
Right.
And there is light. Government should provide light. Let there be power.
Okay.
So that we can invest in our skills, in our competencies, and see what we can lay our hand on. So that we can also invest in our minds.
Did you at any point think a couple of years back that yes, this started gradually and it started deteriorating? Did you at any point feel we were going to get to this level? That's one. Then have you ever, as a man, as a husband and a father, the head of your family,
yes,
have you ever felt like you have food at home and you are not sure how long that food, the food stuff you have at home is going to last, and like you kind of find yourself under some kind of pressure? Has it ever happened at any time, even right now?
Yeah, and that is the meaning of poverty. Where you have a nation adjust to be the poverty capital of the world, what does that tell you? And the first poverty is the poverty of the mind. When we cannot deploy the resources of our mind to creative thinking, solution finding, interventions and all of that, it's going to affect what we bring out. So there's poverty of the mind, there's poverty, and look at our schools, look at our education sector. It's not enough to go to school and have certificates and have the chains of degrees until you are able to convert those knowledge into practical working applications that solves problems and create a much needed intervention. We've not started.
Education was our focus for last week, and I tell you already, even as schools have resumed this week, there are already, I know a lot of parents that have not been able to send their children back to school because they don't have the fees. And the fact remains that you don't expect parents to do what they are not able to do.
So
and it's very sad. It's actually very sad and very painful for the fee increments and all that for this new section.
Once the fuel price, pump price increases, it's a nexus around everywhere.
It is.
So that's why you see, to just roll out policies without looking at the immediate, intermediate, and long-term impact assessment and how the citizens will feel. We should look at
what I need to get your take. Yes, I need to get your take on a few days ago. The NLC president, Mr. Joe Ajaero, was arrested at the airport on his way to the UK to attend a program by the DSS. And also the office of SERAP was invaded by the DSS. So and looking at what Ajaero was arrested for, something that had to do with sponsorship of terrorism, sponsoring terrorists, and all that. What's your take on this? What do you think the government is up to by accusing a man that was there, that fought? Is their interest of the Labour Congress is for the Nigerian workers, you know? So what's the relationship between him fighting for a living wage for the Nigerian workers? What's his relationship with that, with terrorism and sponsorship of terrorism?
I believe there are better ways to handling
and the way and manner to which he was embarrassed at the airport and arrested.
You shouldn't carry out any function just to intimidate people. I consider it as a behavioral violation. You might say, oh, it's for state security and all of that, but it's not enough to know what to do. How you go about doing it is also very pivotal. And you see, you don't cause fear and panic on the society just because you want to get something done. There are better ways to doing it. And you see, the public is already very volatile. Tensed now. There's hunger, there's anger, no job, the little money you have cannot buy anything. And who besides anybody who keeps money in the bank now? To say I'm saving, before you know it, you lose the value of the money.
There's no such thing as savings.
No savings.
In Nigeria.
No savings.
Because whatever it is you have there, we just lose value.
With all this going on, you want to fuel a basic infuriated society by just pouncing on people and all that who are not just leaders on their own. They are representing critical masses. They all have their mandate. And if you feel they have infringed over the constitution of the nation, invite them.
Right.
It is when they escape invitation or evade it that you can now look for them and declare them wanted. Where such is not done, and you just harass people, stop their programs and projects, except you have something behind the curtain for which you are not talking out. So it's better in a sane society to get things done the right way, the right manner, at the right time, and not to incite public peace and bring in some certain level of disruption there. And so that's why they also came up to say, if you take our man, then we're going to make the nation to go elsewhere. And then
he was released.
So why must we do it this way?
Okay, so what about the invasion?
It shouldn't be. Give them an invitation. Let's come to a peace table. People say it is better to what? Judge than to war. Why must we infringe on what they are doing? you have any aspersion over some certain uncanny behavior, give them an invitation. Let it be that they did not show up or honor invitations after first, second appeal and all of that, but to just box into their office without prior notice and invitation. It's you are defaming them, and beside that, you are infringing on their rights.
Absolutely.
How can I keep my office? You just come into it and started asking me questions.
Do you think it's a way to put a kind of fear on other civil society groups so that
whether you believe it or not, Elizabeth, that is what it is, because we are all emotional beings, and what is good for the goose, people say is good for the gander. I like to also say what is bad for the goose is also bad for the gander. So there are better ways of handling issues. It's not by intimidation, it's not by violence, it's not by coercion, it's by correspondence. Keep a conversation, just like we're having conversation here.
Right.
Life is all about conversation. Absolutely. You cannot converse, then you go in divergent order, and crisis will result.
Okay, so back to our conversation, palliatives.
Yes.
Do you think the government is actually going about it the right way? Some time ago, there was a minister of Better Edu that was meant to be the minister to coordinate all of these palliatives that were coming to the people and all that, and before we knew it, we know what happened, or should I say we know what happened to her. She just disappeared into the thin air after the accusation.
Both the design and the details are wrong.
Exactly. So do you think that the government is going about it the right way, so that the people that are really vulnerable, the most, the poorest of the poor in the local, rural areas are getting these palliatives that it ought to get to?
Do you know, Elizabeth, that there are some NGOs that also give out palliative?
A lot.
A huge lot without single noise.
Yes.
Nobody died. Nobody was killed because of mad rush to collecting rice and all of that.
Yes.
I think government should return to its original function of creating policies and then creating an enabling environment that makes those policies work.
Mentioning policy, that's where I was coming to.
Because where that is not government preoccupation and is to shift the emphasis to only giving palliatives, even if the president has a good mind to doing it, he can't go everywhere.
He can't be everywhere at the same time.
It has to simmer down.
Right.
And then what structure is on ground?
Okay, so what are some of these policies you think the government can do? If those
structures are not strong enough and all inclusive, then it becomes a biased thing. And palliatives, instead of solving problems, we end up creating more problems.
Absolutely.
And you see, infighting and all kinds of issues will come in, because it will now become the issue of the survivor of the fittest.
It is already.
Who do you know? Who knows who? And all of that. Those are the first set of people to be considered. You go out there even to functions and all of that. They start looking at faces and asking, who are you and all
Which political party do you belong to?
They want to know you by your name.
Yes.
All this bigotry, ethnic
it's not meant to be political.
And all of that will not help us in this nation. We must fix the Nigerian nation, fix the citizens, and then look at what we can do to revive this economy and create a basic framework that will make everybody be. What the son of nobody can become somebody without knowing somebody or anybody, as they say.
That's how it ought to be.
So when you should have the solution, you should be given the pivotal place to express yourself. Not that somebody will hijack it or to say, no, this cannot fly. I've created several initiatives for this country for which I fare quorum in some places and organizations, only to have it hijacked or just pushed aside because possibly I don't know people or I don't have the big guns there who will just see it through. Developmental initiatives should be encouraged.
Yes,
to call all the youth, bring your ideas, create a think tank, and let's simmer these things through and see which one will work now and engage the youth, because you see, the idle man's hands is the devil's workshop.
It is always.
So you are talking of Yahoo and all kinds of stuff. The youthful energy is so potent that must be expressed either through the good, the bad, or the ugly manner. So if you don't create the good template, they will sit down and fold their hands.
Yeah, that's why the issue of 18 attaining 18 years before they go to, a child goes to the university. It's good if government can support it by creating technical schools and centers for skill acquisition, all right, where
so that they can stay there before they become 18.
Yes, so that if they are 16 or 17, they finish up before they become 18 to go to the university.
That's an archaic thing, Elizabeth, to do. You see, what I would suggest is this. You are saying a child must attain the physical age of 18. I think we should make it in a more broader sense. One, age is not just about the physical number. Oh, he's 18. You could have a child who is 18 years and still reasoning like a 10-year-old toddler.
Oh, a lot.
Child.
A lot.
Or a 7-year-old child. And you could have a child who is 14 and is already reasoning, and his IQ and EQ is so high, it's looking like 25 or 30. So I think we should put all of these variables together to decide, not just the physical age. And then, no matter the age we are looking at and considering, because you might say, oh, when a child is not 18, he has not really been emotionally stable. Emotional stability is not a function of physical calendrical age. There are so many other variables you have to look at. You have to look at nature, nurture, culture. You have to look at the environment. You have to look at family background. You can't expect the child of a professor who right from womb has gone through very good tutelage and what have you, and at just the minimum age is already finished secondary
I'm
school.
smiling because of the word you used, emotional stability. I want us to talk a little bit. How stable emotionally do you think Nigerians are in the midst of all of this that is going on and happening? As far as our mental health is concerned,
emotional stability is not just a function of what happens out there. It's a function of what is going on in your
That's what I'm saying, as far as our mental health is concerned.
Mental health in Africa and Nigeria is nosediving. And when people hear mental health, they think it's something of the negative. Not knowing that every human
the awareness is coming up gradually.
The awareness is gradually coming up, but we need to face the fact and to build our mental strength, emotional strength, physical strength.
How can we do that? All right, with all of these happenings, you turn left, you turn right around us in Nigeria, as Nigerians, as strong as we are as a people, how can we intentionally as a people balance our mental health? Please.
Take the driver's seat of your own life, Elizabeth. Be the architect of your own life. Design your own life the way you want it to be. Because in the midst of the thickest of all darkness, a little light.
Can you design your life the way you want it to be? In hunger? In lack?
Now let me answer that question. You see, hunger is an event. Your response to hunger should agitate you to see what you can do to passionately dispense your own potential.
That's how it ought to be. But
so when you see
to
that,
some people, it's the other way around. To some people, that's how it ought to be.
It's still a mentality case.
Absolutely.
If your mind is just warped and you think the solution out there, the situation out there must also be met by a solution out there, you are wrong. Every human being, Elizabeth, is wired and woven within to solve a particular problem on the outside. So let's associate whatever you are going through as the dark pit. So you are the light. So what can you see? What solution can you generate? You need to be able to appreciate the situation on ground and the solution you have at hand for which you need strategy to meet them, and you create the intervention. Let's not think that government has all the facility to provide job for everybody. We must be people who deploy resources. So self-discovery is pivotal, where you come to discover who you are. You know yourself too well, mentally, emotionally, physically,
I agree.
spiritually, and then you grow yourself. You can't serve your potential out in crude version. When you are crude, you cause injury. But develop yourself. Find out and fine-tune who you are and what you have for skills, for competencies.
Iron sharpeneth iron. What about if you grow up with the wrong people? I'm borrowing that from the scripture.
Very good. You see?
What about if you grow up in the midst of negative people? It could even be your family, immediate family, your
that's just 1 out of 50.
Yeah, your parents, probably your colleagues, and
you find yourself. Every human being has that V-shaped vacuum. What do I call V-shape? Value-shaped vacuum. Saying, hey, it's a high time you look for your value construct and create something meaningful to solving the problems rather than just talking and talking. You see, Elizabeth, we can sit here for the next 10 hours and just talking about all the gamut of problems this nation has brought us. But the question is, can we turn the searchlight inward to see what we carry that can power and regenerate, if I may borrow that term, regenerate our country? The solution to Africa is in Africa. Right. The solution to Nigeria is in Nigerians. But we need a facility that will bring Nigerians together to say, hey, we are ready. Let's hit the ground running and solve our problems our own way.
Absolutely.
Then before we look at imported technology and see how we can adapt, not adopt, adapt to our variables on ground. Not until we begin to see a governance that gives emphasis to this, we'll be going around the vicious circle, just doing the talk and borrowing more money to do palliatives.
Yes, as we wind down gradually, what are the possible solutions, you think the government can use to begin to solve these issues of lack, hunger, food insecurity, palliative issues and all that?
A policy framework for socio-cultural development that cascade into the awakening of the various geopolitical zones of Nigeria, where everybody can be happy to belong to a nation that works.
A nation that works. I like the sound.
Meaning, you are going to enable us to find a society where we can discover ourselves through learning, education that is affordable, through the raise of numeracy ratio. And as we do that, let's build our skills and invest in technology, the ICT, digital economy, and then deploy our services. If the government can create a framework where people will no longer graduate to look for employment, but they graduate to do deployment, then we are solving our problems our own way. Whatever you know to do and fix through your skills, your competencies, and your technical know-how can create value that you can even export to other nations. When you do yours, I do mine, then we find harmony in variety, and in so doing, a cultural framework that will bind us together will be hitting the ground running. From there, government can look at the organized private sector and the middle economy and say, hey, is that the direction you want to go? Now let's create policies that will help you become it, and then we'll leverage that for national development.
But for real, do you think the government seriously do not know all of this, that this is the way to go and this is how they should go about solving all of this?
The knowledge you have that does not make the people free, it's not real knowledge, it's fake. So you know it, then Let's set the variables in place to keep it working. It can work. Nigeria can work. I believe in Nigeria. I would have relocated a long time ago, but I believe God didn't make
we
mistake
cannot all relocate
in making me a Nigerian. So I'm here to solve problems. So the emphasis now in closing is to have a national framework that will work the psyche of every Nigeria to become solution providers, interventionists in our various corners and levels, so that we can solve problems.
To work the psyche of every Nigerian.
Very vital.
That is why you see that a lot of Nigerians are running, trooping out of Nigeria, not because they know where they are going, not because they are sure that where they are going will be better off.
You can't be a lizard in Nigeria only to go to America or Canada to become a crocodile.
Right.
No. They are only traveling now, maybe for better.
Even the ones that have been there, that have made it there, want to come back to Nigeria to invest.
It's not rosy everywhere.
They need a structure.
So
they need a good structure to come back to.
You must bounce back to yourself. Even when you have the education must provide intervention. That is why there is an amalgam now, which we are running through schools and school stakeholder, called eduvention. It's a template that will tell us your behavior, your brand, your belief system, in fact and figure, and show you what potential you carry to create production, given your personality. Those 3 P's will bring out your qualities, your lifestyle, and then you can have a new sense of focus. You now know where to devolve energy and create production.
Yeah.
From there you earn a living.
I'd like to know what you think about the National Youth Service Corps, the NYSC, presently in Nigeria.
It should not be phased out but repackaged.
How?
To fix the socio-cultural.
How should it be repackaged?
Good. Look at what obtains now and create a reform in such a way that the corper will benefit from it, the state, the nation will benefit from it, and then the society will benefit from it. There are some things you have to now do online, and there are some you have to do on site, and there are some you have to do off site.
So are you
incorporated?
Meaning they do not necessarily physically have to be sent. Is that what you are trying to say?
There are places you can't send. For example, you can't send a corps member to some belligerent states and all of that to just say go and die freely. No. So we need to look at, you see, in strategy and strategic thinking, you don't just say, oh, it has been a culture, let's just keep on, without looking at what obtains on ground.
Thank you
so we need to understudy what the situation is on ground.
It's a good place to draw the curtain,
and then have a
Dr.
solution
Komolafe.
at hand with which to solve problems.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. James Komolafe, for coming to the conversation today. We are very grateful, and we know that when next we call on you, you'll be here. Definitely. And I would like to thank you, our viewers, for staying tuned today. Just like we have said on the conversation, we hope that you will, as Nigerians, we're strong people, strong nation, intentionally, you know, be able to strengthen yourself and be able to go find ourselves going, you know, around the situations, the circumstances, and they remain strong. Thank you so very much, and from all of us here in Kaftan Television in Abuja, my name is Elizabeth Samsedi. We'll see you next time. Bye.